Well, welcome to the Global Equipping Center webinar. I will never forget standing up in front of 150 business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives right there in Centurion Business Forum. It was a business chamber our company had just signed up with. And there was a beautiful blonde that was walking around the room inviting all of the new members to stand up and to tell a little bit about their business. Now, this was in South Africa where we started our company over 10 years ago. And so she came up to me and she said, what's your name, and tell us your business and what you do. So she held the mic in front of me and I said, my name is David Wilkinson. I'm the CEO of the Global Equipping Center, and we help companies under R1 million to double their revenue in 12 months. And she paused and said to me something that I did not expect. She said, well, if that's true, what kind of car do you drive? And I said, well, I drive a Toyota Avanza. Would you like to know why? And she said, yes. And I said, because I've taken all the net profit in our business, and instead of putting it in a luxury car, I actually opened up our first branch in Johannesburg, having transferred and kept the original office open in Nelspruit. And she looked at me and she said, yeah, right. At that moment, you could have heard a pin drop in that room. Those 150 people just looked at me. Because if you know anything about South Africa, your car reveals your level of success. So when the meeting was over and I was gathering my things, there was a gentleman in a very expensive suit walked up to me and said, David, I can't do business with you. If you're going to drive a Toyota Avanza and you claim you're going to be able to double my company's revenue, I just won't believe you. And walked away. I remember when I was driving the Toyota Avanza away back to my house, I called up our international managing partner, James Rice, who you'll meet at the end of this webinar. And I called him up and I said, James, we are buying a luxury car immediately. So what we did was we started looking and we found and we looked all across South Africa, and finally the car came open, and this was the car that we bought. It was R250,000. And it's called a Mercedes-Benz SLK. It was a 350 because the 120 was too slow. And so what I didn't know is that this car would actually produce money for our company. That wasn't the purpose of the car. The purpose of the car is my confidence was here and my car was here. And that gap there caused people to say, David, what you say you can do, we don't believe because the car doesn't match your level of confidence. It might be different where you live, but it wasn't in South Africa. So I'll never forget when I drove this car to a place called Casterbridge, and there's a great restaurant there called Magnolia, and I pulled it up and just parked it, and a very distinguished black gentleman was walking up, and he stopped in front of my car and waited for me to get out, and he said, I don't know what you do, but I'm in. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, what do you do? I said, I'm a motivational speaker. He said, we have an event coming up. I'm hiring you. And I literally, I literally got paid because of the car that I drove. Confidence, creating hope, influence. These are the things that I want to talk to you about today in this webinar. So thank you for joining us. We have people from all over the world. My sister in Florida, she's joined us. So welcome, Jenny. And then we've got people here in Colorado, and we have people in South Africa, which is much later their time. So thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you here. Creating hope, cultivating confidence in the midst of chaos. For those of you that joined early and you saw our introductory slide, this is actually the third and different title for this information. We had one on about expanding your influence by amplifying your confidence. And we had one on the confidence factor about how to use your confidence inside your organization. But today we've changed it on creating hope because of the virus and all the people out there that right now, they're not hopeful. They're not hopeful about their personal lives or their professional lives. Here in the US, we're hearing a lot about people that were really happily married with being happy with 2 children until all of a sudden they had to be with them day after day after day. And they might have lost some of their hope about how amazing they thought their family has been. So we're going to talk about how to cultivate confidence in the midst of chaos. So I'm excited to talk to you about some introductory thoughts, some definitions, a diagnosis on, are you higher on confidence or influence? Which one are you? How to cultivate hope in the people around you. And then a quandary, some of the problems with it, the solution, and then how to actually take what we talk about today and implement it in your life. Now, regardless of whether or not you have a business or not, you can always create hope in the people that you come into contact with every single day. My wife, Michaela, that you'll meet at the end, she and I went to a place which is my favorite wings place called Buffalo Wild Wings. And we were sitting in the parking lot waiting for the wings to come out to be delivered. And both of the managers came out at different times, and I made them both laugh. You know, I just talked with them. I encouraged them. I said, this is great. You know, I love it when a lady walks up and gives me wings. There's nothing that's more attractive than that. And I just had fun with them. And I said, you know, soon this is going to be over and your restaurant's going to be full again. And just to create hope in someone's life. You don't know what they've been going through. You don't know what your team's been going through, or maybe some of your customers, but you can always create hope in other people based upon your choice about how to cultivate your confidence in the midst of chaos. So here's some introductory questions. What is confidence and influence? What happens if you have too much or too little? How can you grow your confidence to expand your influence? What's the line of mediocrity and how does it impact your influence? And how does your influence impact your business? So we're going to have some fun with this. So here's a couple of definitions. Confidence is full trust, belief in the powers, the trustworthy or reliability of a person or thing. Secondly, it's belief in oneself and one's powers or abilities, self-confidence, self-reliance, assurance. So there's our definition for confidence. Is your belief system is based upon the height that your confidence can grow, or to the depth that it grows. So if you believe in yourself, you believe in your product and your service, you believe in your ability to market and sell yourself, then guess what happens? You have confidence in those areas. So if you've had a really hard season, you've lost a lot of clients, you've lost a lot of money, maybe you've just gone through a major personal failure, your confidence is going to be taking a knock, a hit, in which your confidence might not be as high as it used to be. When it comes to influence, however, it's a little bit different. It's the capacity or power of you to be a compelling force to produce an effect. So if you have small confidence, the chance of you having great influence is very slim, because it's the action or the process of producing the effects themselves. Have you ever had a really amazing experience in your life and you say, wow, and you always look back upon that experience as, wow, that was one of the best seasons of my life, or that was such a great opportunity. You know, something happened to me just a couple weeks ago. I've been wanting a boat. We live here right next to a place called Horsetooth Reservoir. I believe it's the largest body of water in Colorado. And last summer, it was a beautiful summer and we didn't have a boat. And I've been looking at boats online. I've been saying, you know, do I want to buy one? What do I want? And eventually I came to the place where I said, you know what? I don't want to buy a boat. I want somebody to give me a boat. And then I started thinking about it. And I said, you know what? I don't want it perfect. I don't want to take a boat that somebody gave me that's brand new, because I need a project. I want to fix something. So I actually want a boat that's a mess, you know, something I can get my hands on. And when I finally made up my mind, our landlord came over and we had a drink together on the back porch. We kept our 6 feet difference, you know, or a meter or two difference. And we started talking, and I just happened to share with him that I'm looking to buy a boat. And the next week he sends me a text message and says, hey, come get my boat. So I drove it back, and it had 6 inches of leaves, and it was rotted out on the bottom. And so James and I've been tearing this thing apart, and I have 100% confidence in our ability to tear up the boat, to rip out the dirt, the wood and the carpet, and to take off everything. And we now have it just about down to, you can't tear it down anymore. It's just the holes left. And then you have the question, how confident are you of rebuilding it? Well, I'll let you know in a couple months how it went. We all have different confidences, don't we? We know what we know, and sometimes we know what we don't know. But here's what I know is when you're confident in an area, you have a greater potential to impact more people. Where are you called to influence more people? That's the question at hand. So under the diagnosis, here's some of our concepts here. Confidence is the belief in your own ability and others' reliability. Hopefully you have your notes. We emailed you your notes if you signed up for this webinar. It's your belief in yourself and in other people. Now, if you've been let down by a lot of different people, your ability to have confidence in them, belief in that person or in a whole people group is going to waver. When I lived in South Africa for 7 years and went back another 8 years on top of that, I had some really, really amazing experiences. And one of those is the ability of people to break things that I didn't know you could break. I remember when I first moved there in 2002, I bought a 3,000 Rand or $300 wet dry vac. And then I bought a normal vacuum cleaner. And we had a domestic worker. We had a maid that came in and cleaned the house once a week. And in the first week, instead of using the normal vacuum cleaner, she used the wet dry vac on wet mode and vacuumed up the entire house and broke my brand new wet dry vac. And I tried to take it back, and they said, because you used it incorrectly, the warranty is null and void. I lost all ability at that moment to have any confidence in our cleaner's ability to vacuum. So, when somebody says, hey, David, where's your confidence in your ability to produce a webinar that people are engaged in, that there's energy, that it's going to be exciting, that the notes are great, that the PowerPoint's going to work correctly? 100%. How much confidence did you have in your first maid who vacuumed and broke your $300 vacuum? 0. That's right. So you can't say that all confidence is true above everybody at all times. It's the belief in your own ability and others' reliability. Number 2, influence is the power and the process that produces an effect. So when a person has a lot of influence, it means that they've learned what are the steps to increase their influence that produces an effect. It's a cause and effect. So if here's the foundation is confidence, and here is the influence, when you learn the secrets of the process to produce the same effect over and over again, that's the level of influence you can have. So it doesn't matter if it's on one person or it's on 1,000, it's on a country, it's on the globe. Influence has secrets attached to it. And those secrets come from a place of deeply knowing who you are and what you can do. Produces those effects. So number 1, a lack of confidence. Here's your first fill-in for the notes. Reveals passivity. Passivity. A lack of confidence reveals passivity. When a person says, David, I know I'm called to do this, but I can't seem to do it. I can't seem to find a way to make this happen. We just talked to a gentleman that was a past client for us, and this was the very area that we talked to him about. He had 3 major proposals. It's going to explode his company. And he said, you know what? I'm having a hard time getting to the proposals. A lack of confidence reveals passivity. So how do you get confidence when you've lost it? Or maybe you never had it? So one of the ways that we help people in our coaching program is we tell them right up front, we're going to believe the best about you. We're going to choose to place our confidence in you that you can grow your company. And that has a profound impact on people's lives. I don't know what happened with the last couple generations of parents, but the majority of parents did not say to their children, listen, we believe in you. We are behind you. We're going to help you be who you are called to be. And they gave them a platform of confidence that caused the child to grow up to become an adult that says, you know what, I can do anything I can put my mind to, and I will not stop until I'm successful. So many adults today are still in shock from a place of a lack of confidence. And sometimes all they need is somebody to say to them, I believe in you. We're going to do this together, and we're going to celebrate all the way as we grow your company to be sustainable and profitable. Where are you passive? And second, a lack of influence reveals powerlessness. Second fill-in is powerlessness. When a person has great confidence and they know who they are, they know that this is the right company, they're going to help all these people, and they can't seem to get traction. It's because they feel like their hands are tied behind their back, their feet are shackled to the ground, and they don't know how to influence people. I talked to a client recently, and I said to him, what do you want to do? He said, I want to father people and do all these things. I said, great. How big is your social media platform? How many friends do you have on Facebook? How big is your Instagram? How big is your Twitter? How many people do you have on LinkedIn? I asked him all these questions, and it was almost non-existent. And I said, wait a second. You say you want to influence all these people, but you're not doing what it takes at the very small scale, how to reveal your power as you go. Have you heard of this, an overnight success? It's amazing how it takes decades to have an overnight success, doesn't it? It's typically found in the person who goes so deep for so long that when the moment is right, they grow their influence exponentially and their company and revenue follow in suit. It's the same with nonprofits, by the way. Sometimes nonprofits explode with new donors because the founders of it have grown so deep and they're so passionate about what they do that their influence grows because their confidence can withstand the height that they want to grow to. So to find any area where you lack confidence, you need to use your intuition. This is the best season in the world for people to grow their intuition. You know, one of the things that Michaela has said to me many times is when we wake up in the morning, we should ask the question, should we leave the house? Is today a day that you leave the house? When we're going to go to a store, is that the right store, and is that the right time to go in the day? Because your intuition is meant to lead you to find the areas where you're lacking confidence, where there might be some passivity in your personal or professional life, and to rid those areas that you can rise up in power and do what you're called to do. Nobody starts their business saying, well, I hope I go bankrupt. I hope this business makes me lose my house. I hope this business I have a lot of fun with, but it never pays my bills. Nobody ever says that. So when there's a blockage and you can't seem to break through over and over and over again, it's because you need to use your intuition to find out where the blockage is for your confidence and your influence to move forward. And then you remove the blockage and everything can flow smoothly again. Now, of course, if you're in a specific season in which it's just been, you've been going downhill for a long time and you haven't hit rock bottom yet, typically those kind of seasons you can't stop. You're meant to go through them. And sometimes you have to get really broken in a season until you find your way at the very bottom, and then you start to build and climb your way out of this hole, this muck. And once you're on this side, you can become much more successful than you could possibly imagine again. So how do you cultivate confidence in the minds of your customers? All of us have either a product or service or both that we're trying to market right now in this dynamic situation across the globe. You have to continue to cultivate your confidence in the minds of your customers, saying to them, you know what, you can really make a difference now. Our product, our service can help you more now than ever before. You know, in America, or at least in Fort Collins, we had a huge shortage of toilet paper. It got to a crisis. Our household was down to its last roll. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any confidence in my ability to find any, because every time I went to every store, it was all gone. And there were people, that were renting storage units and filling them up. And there was a black market for toilet paper. I was losing confidence. I didn't know what to do. And we were at a client meeting, and we were talking to the staff, and the business owner said, "How you doing on toilet paper?" And I said, "Not good. We're almost out." And she brought from her stash, from her company, a package of toilet paper and gave it to us. And you know what? I never thought that there would be a tear in my eye from somebody giving me a gift, but on that day there was, because it was a crisis. Some of your customers are in a crisis right now. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to think. They don't know where to go. And my hope is, because of this webinar, in the next 40 minutes, that you would get on fire about taking the lessons you've learned in your life, your products, your services, what you've learned as a person, and that you cultivate confidence in other people, that it's going to be okay, that things are going to get brighter, that we've gone through a really difficult season as a world and we're not out of it yet. But you know what? Things will get better, and the sun is still shining. And you know what? There's so many things to be thankful for today. And I hope that your company, that you as the owner of that, the head of that, the leader, the manager, you've decided that this is not going to stand in your way, that you're going to progress and that you're going to succeed. Regardless of what anyone or anything says, you will not be shaken. You will not be beaten down. You will rise up and you will win. So let's look at the diagnosis. Where do I need to increase my confidence? I got my sister Jenny on our webinar today. She's one of the 19 participants. And I'll never forget this. When Jenny was about 12 and I was 13, we would go to church, or we go to somebody's house, and there would be a young mother there that didn't know what to do with her baby. And the baby would be a few months old. And Jenny would walk over, and the baby would be screaming and crying, and the mother was red and she was inconsolable. She didn't know what to do. And Jenny would walk over and say something like this: "Can I please hold your baby?" And the mother would be exasperated, would just hold out the child. And Jenny would take the baby, and literally in seconds, the child would calm down and would fall asleep in her arms. Many times we'd watch these young mothers burst into tears saying, "How come you could do this and I can't?" And it was an internal need for Jenny to mother someone. And that's who she is. She has always been a mother. And when you meet her sons, or you see her with Ray Lynn, who she adopted, and you see all of these things, she is 100% confident. She doesn't try to mother. She is a mother. She's confident in it. That's her increase. That's her influence, is on the children that she has fostered, that she may never see again, but she has left an impact on their life. Where do you need to increase your confidence? Where is the area that brings you the most joy? Where do you need to increase your influence? Taking your confidence and increasing that to where you impact more people with that. Now, here's the next question. Where am I overconfident? And where do I have self-deception regarding my influence? So we're going to talk about these 4 questions. Is going to be on a chart that we're going to look at and take a look at what we need to look with the diagnosis. So let's look at confidence first, and then we're going to look at influence second. So here's the first one. A lack of confidence is felt through an overemphasis on past failures. Now, if you're raised in a third world country, do you know what they talk about typically? All of the failures that they've overcome. We've overcome this, we've overcome this, we've overcome this. If you come from a first world nation, it's all the successes that you've had. We've succeeded here, here, and here. So it just depends upon what kind of country and what kind of family you were raised in, is based upon a lack of confidence, or maybe an overinflated view of confidence. So let's look at a lack of confidence. It's an overemphasis on past failures, a wallowing in self-pity for too long, and a delay of execution in the marketplace. So if you've had in 2019 or 2018 or whatever year you're in, if you had a really difficult time, you have a lack of confidence because your confidence took so many hits and it lowered it. And sometimes it's just about hope as a strategy. I read that book about 20 years ago. It says hope is not a strategy. If you have a lack of confidence right now, you're hoping to get something from this webinar that can help you get your confidence back. Well, some people, they don't. And you've met some of these people where they have had such a huge disaster in their life that they've never recovered from it. And they wallow in the self-pity. And when you talk to them, it's always, well, 20 years ago, my business failed, or 20 years ago, I had a divorce, or 20 years ago, my child died, or 20 years ago, whatever happened there, they couldn't recover from. And therefore, when they try to be successful today, there's a delay in their execution with their confidence and their influence because they keep looking to the past and say, yeah, but look at how I failed. And if you're one of those people today, I hope that you will do whatever it takes to get out of this pit that you may be in, and that you decide right now that I'm going to get out of this and get back and put my feet strong on the ground again. It could be years or decades, but you have the choice to get out of a place of a lack of confidence and become a confident person. It's not easy to do when you've been really devastated, but you can do it. Now, what about on the other side, the people that are really there, inflated their confidence? Now, here's what it is: an overemphasis on past successes. In fact, I hear people all the time talk about, you know what? I am great in sales. Great. Tell me about it. Yeah, I had one person tell me they closed 8 out of 10 people. So we helped them get 10 people to talk to, and they didn't close on any of them. And I said, wait. When did you close 8 out of 10 people when you talked to them about your product or service? Oh, 15 years ago. Oh, okay. But you can't take what you were doing 15 or 10 years ago and say those are the same statistics as today, because otherwise you're not keeping statistics today that prove where you're at. So one is, I used to be successful. And the stories were all in the past, and they inflate their confidence by their past successes. The number 2 is over-promising and under-delivering. Over-promising and under-delivering. Hey, I can do this, but when you deliver it, it's really down here. Because your confidence is here, but you're able to deliver down here. And third, taking unnecessary risks. If you have an overinflated ego, too much confidence, you say, I can do anything. And you go out there and you try, and you take a risk that is above your level of confidence and excellence, and you'll fail in it. Because confident people are not arrogant people. Let me say that again. If you are arrogant, you can't be confident, because at the very center of confidence is humility. It means that person has gone through seasons of brokenness. They have had their confidence shattered. They didn't know what to believe anymore. They didn't know who they were. And as they got healthy and whole, they got confident in who they were and what they can and cannot do. They can say no because they know it's not who they are. At the center of confidence is humility. So an inflated confidence is a person who's trying to prove themselves. They're trying to do a whole bunch of stuff, hoping that it works, trying to tell people how confident they are and they can do this. And they take risks that ultimately always fail because it's above what they can really do. Now, what about influence? A lack of influence. How has that felt? Here it is: an overemphasis on personal knowledge. When a person all of a sudden overwhelms someone with all that they know, it doesn't mean that they're using it to influence other people. And just because, number 2, you have a great strategy doesn't mean, because it's a brilliant strategy, that it's going to produce any results. And lastly, when they send out a post on Facebook, or they call someone, or they talk to somebody, or they stand in front of an audience, or they have a webinar and nobody's there but them, it means that they don't have the ability to sway the population because they don't have a following. So what is an inflated influence person? What does that felt? Well, that is an overemphasis on professional experience. So they talk about that they've got these degrees and they've done this and they've done that. They focus upon numbers instead of impact. Our largest business breakfast set the history, set the record for nail spray. And James and I were thrilled. We celebrated. We had 706 people. The numbers were magnificent. We don't believe anybody can surpass that. We're not challenging you for those of you who live in the low felt. But what we're saying was we got done with this amazing event. We were so excited. And out of 706 people, we got 4 clients out of it. And we were flabbergasted. We said we put all of this time, effort, money into this amazing event. The news was there. It was in the press. It was fantastic. But you know what? The number of people that were there that weren't potential clients was staggering. So just because you have a large influence doesn't mean that your business is going to thrive. You might not be influencing the right people. Now, this is a really important one. Please star this one your notes. Number 3, abdicating responsibility from results. A person who has an inflated sense of how they can influence people always blame other people for their lack of results. They say, well, I called 50 people or I sent 100 emails, and people just they're so dumb. People are so dumb. They don't know what we really have. They don't want to buy our product or service. They don't understand the value and quality that we have. And they blame the customer for their lack of results because they don't have the correct perspective about their own influence. So regardless of your sales and regardless of the number of clients or how much you're making in the virus season or not, it is 100% every single person's responsibility to grow their company in the midst of chaos. That's why the title of this is How to Create Confidence in the Midst of Chaos, because it is your responsibility to create hope in your customers, to grow your business. We got 2 new clients this week already. This is only Thursday. We got a major contract last week. We are growing our business because we decided as a team, we are not going to stop just because the world has. We will grow our business. We will get clients that really have decided they're going to grow their company regardless of whether or not they have a mask on and gloves on or not. We're still going to grow our company. And I hope that because you've decided, now you might still be in your pajamas or just gotten into your second pajamas for the evening, but the bottom line is this, is because you're on the webinar, you're serious about making an impact in your sphere of influence. And we congratulate you for being on another Zoom webinar. Some of you might be tired of watching other people talk and see the little screens. You're ready to shake somebody's hand and give a hug again. It's coming. Be patient. And thank you for giving us the opportunity today to talk to you. Okay, so here's the quandary. How do I grow my confidence in order to expand my influence? What does that look like? So here's what it is. It is the line of mediocrity. Here's what it is. And here's the false belief. My personal development has no impact on my marketplace success. Now, the easiest way to find this is obvious in Hollywood. It's with the movie stars. It's with the amazing singers that they have. When a person goes from, zero to hero overnight and they start making millions of dollars, and if they don't have a deep level of personal commitment to their values, if they've not had mentors and coaches, if they've not developed themselves to withstand the height of their success, what happens? It's a disaster. Their personal life is an absolute disaster and ends up on all kinds of tabloids and on the news. And oh, shame, that person was so wonderful until until fame hit them. And then they just lost it. They go nuts. They go crazy because something isn't deep. So let's take a look at that. The false belief is my personal development has no impact on my marketplace success. They think that if they focus on their personal life, that it doesn't make money for them. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So let's take a look at some of this. Number 1, your influence is based upon the law of momentum. When you really are an influential person, it's because you know about the law of momentum. And it's very complex and sometimes very simple. It's if you follow the law, your influence will continue to grow exponentially and sometimes over a lifetime. But you have to know how that law works. Now, the bottom is as your influence is growing, hopefully your confidence is growing at the same depth as your height. So that when the fame and fortune and wealth and clients all happen to you, you don't fall apart. If you took your company and it grew by 100 times in a year, some of you would say, oh my gosh, I grew the company by 100 times. I have to hire staff. I have to pay more taxes. I'm driving the wrong car. Whatever you want to say, some of you, that would be a stress. I hope I can cope with the stress if I grew exponentially. You know what you should say if you grew by 100 times in a year? Oh my goodness, am I ever going to have fun? I have the right people surrounding me to make sure I don't lose my mind. You know, I've grown my soul deep enough to withstand the fame and the fortune, the wealth, the influence. It would be exciting for you. So hopefully in this time of pajamas and this time of staying home and this time of quarantine, that hopefully you've been growing yourself personally. You've been growing deeper because when everything is said and done, your influence, some of you, may explode after this is all said and done. So here's a line of mediocrity. When a person says, I don't really care whether or not I influence a lot of people, they don't have to be a deep person. In fact, shallow people typically don't impact the world because they make it all about themselves. Influence is not about you. It's about all of the people's needs that you want to reach, who you want to meet. You know, we're talking to people right now all across the world. Right now on this day, on April 30th, 2020, 12:36 in the afternoon, we're impacting people in South Africa. We're influencing and making an impact on them because we care for the country, we care for the world. The line of mediocrity forces you to ask the question, how many people do you want to impact across the globe? And have you prepared yourself to do so? That is your public, professional, and visible influence. It means this is how people see you in the marketplace. You could be on the news. You could be on a radio. You could be on the website. You can start your own podcast. You can do so many things today to influence people. But that's based upon the private and personal, the hidden, what you do behind closed doors by yourself. What have you been doing to grow yourself deep that you can go as high as your influences? So that's when you decide to expand. When you see opportunities that are, you know what, it's time for you to expand, it's time for you to go bigger, then it's time for you to go deeper, and it's time for your experience to go to the next level. There's rarely a person that I have coached that I've not walked away shaking my head learning something different. After over 20 years of coaching 250 companies, I still am learning new things. Absolutely love it. You know why? Because every time I learn something new, it means my influence can grow and I can share that truth with someone else, and that impacts their company, their staff, and their customers. So trying becomes triumph. When you first start doing something, you're trying, you're hoping that it's going to work. But as your influence grows, eventually you become confident in your influence, and therefore you stop questioning who you are and what you do. These become statements. So how do you clarify your future vision in the midst of chaos? How do you do that? So you know what the virus has really helped a lot of us to do? It's to ask the question, if we knew that the virus was going to hit our company this hard 6 months ago, 12 months ago, would we have stopped doing the company? Would we have closed it down? Would we have started up something different? Well, I wouldn't have started up a hand sanitizer mask making business. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, does your vision get impacted by the swaying of the marketplace? See, the virus has helped many people say this, you know what? My passion for my product and my service has not been touched by the virus. My desire to help my staff grow personally has only gotten deeper. Our customers and how we help them, my love for them and for what we provide for them has only grown. So hopefully you are clarifying what you're really called to do. And when all this is over, you will grow exponentially with your influence because you've been growing deep with your team. So it's not about numbers, but everything's about numbers. So when somebody says, hey, listen, the virus is causing my business. We've lost 50% of our clients, but we just gained one new client after we lost 50% that equaled more than the 50% that we lost. We are so thrilled with how we're growing in this season. So when your influence grows, typically the amount of people that you influence grows with it. And sometimes you can influence not just hundreds, but thousands and tens of thousands of people. But if you're not making a significant impact in their lives, it's not about the numbers, is it? It's not just about making the sale. It's not just about transaction. It's about transformation. And hopefully, it's as you grow your influence, the impact of your life is seen. And that's called leaving a lasting legacy. So confidence is a natural progression and can be duplicated regardless of your history. And by the way, failure does not equal lack of confidence. Many times, people fail over and over and over and over again, and then succeed big. And they will say something like this: man, when I became successful, I look back on all the times that I failed, and you know what I said? I'm so thankful I failed all those times because I learned the lessons that I needed to learn to be really successful. So failure does not equal lack of confidence. If you are right now in a low place of confidence, you're like, you know what? I'm hoping things get better. I'm hoping that I can make it through this. My encouragement to you is not to surround yourself with other hopeful people. It's not to surround yourself with people that say, well, we'll see if we're all still here in a couple months. Because you know what? You're not going to raise your level of confidence with people that are not confident. My encouragement to you is to find other people that are planting seeds of hope in other people, that the next season, this is a sifting time. Chaos does that. It separates the chaff from the wheat. It separates the people that are serious about their company and serious about growth and people that are waiting to see what happens. My encouragement to you is find the people that have decided no matter what, we will be successful regardless of what happens in the world, and surround yourself with those people and you become one of them. Raise the level of hope, cultivate confidence in other people, and together you will succeed. You will not fail. So here's what it looks like. When you're at a place where your confidence has really been hit, or people have not been asking you the right questions, here's how you talk about your life. Who am I? Why am I here? Why was I created? I have no idea. Where do I work? Well, I kind of work here. Well, what should I do? I'm not real sure. It feels like a person without confidence is kind of like a wave, tossed to and fro by the wind. And they don't really know what to do. And there's always a quandary in their life. They don't know how, well, should I make this decision? Should I make that decision? They're not real sure. When you've done your soul work and you've journaled out all of these different questions and answers, and you start having other people ask you some really hard questions yourself of who you really are, and why are you working where you're working? Are you sure this is really your calling, your profession, your vocation? Then those questions turn into statements, which is, this is who I am. My name is David. I work at the Global Equipping Center. My calling has not shifted since 1989 when I was 16 years old. I am called to train adults in life-changing principles. My corporate calling statement is to lead a company to train adults in life-changing principles. When you know who you are, you know where you work, you know what you do, and that means that your confidence is not reliant upon healthcare, first responders, or the government. It's reliant upon yourself, and you know what you are called to do and what you're not. So, this is a perfect time for you to get your rooibos tea from South Africa. For those of you in America that have not experienced a cup of rooibos tea, you've not lived a life. So I encourage you to get some. get your journal. Now, for those of you that say, now, David, I'm not a journaler. I don't like to write. I understand that, but this is a great time for you to learn. So you're going to get your pen and you're going to get a notebook that's brand new. And you're gonna spend some time by yourself because half of us or all of us are quarantined right now in our homes. There's no place really to go. So this is a perfect time. And you're gonna write down there some of the questions about who you are, where you work, and what you're doing. And reflect upon them until you are confident that you know about those questions. So here's some questions I want you to ask. Number one, where is my level of belief concerning my abilities in my organization? I'm working right now with a small company. They have about a staff of 10. And I'm working with the sales manager. And his belief has been shattered the last 18 months. They went through a really difficult time. And over the next 3 months, my number one focal point is to raise his level of belief about his ability to sell to their customers from the organization. That is my number one, is to raise his belief where he is unstoppable in the marketplace and he makes the company a fortune. Where's your level of belief regarding your abilities in your own organization? Number two, how reliable are my staff members and current clients? Are you completely convinced that you have the right team members to move forward? And do you love your clients? Now, if you sell shoelaces for $5 or $5, and you're just a brick and mortar store, and it doesn't really matter about your clients that much, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people that spend a lot of time with their customers. Because if you spend a long time with customers, I'm hoping that you really like them. In fact, this has been one of the value systems that when we started the Global Equipping Center, I said to James and Carol Rice, my managing partners, I said to them, listen, I don't want a whole bunch of people to coach I can't stand to pay me money. I can't stand that concept. I want people that I can have a braai with, that I can have a barbecue with, that I can have a beer with or a glass of wine with. I want people that I really enjoy, that when I think about them, I smile, I laugh, and I say, I'm so glad I've got these clients, because life is short to be paid money from people you can't stand. So if you say, I love my staff, love my clients, they're awesome, they're reliable, great, then you know what? You are probably not impacted much by this virus, because your confidence in their reliability is really making things wonderful. However, if you say, I'm not sure about my team, I'm not sure about my clients, what I want you to do is make a list of all of your staff members and all of your clients and ask yourself the question, how confident, what is a percentage that I believe they're going to be with me till the end? Do I believe in them? Do I believe in their abilities, their skills to help me grow the company? Number three, where is my influence low and where's my confidence high? And why do I believe this is accurate? The president of our company is Kerry Cox, and Kerry comes from a publicly traded company in radio. She was able to influence people to pay for something they cannot touch. It's an intangible called radio space. And she was able to talk to people all the time. Her influence was high. She would meet with person after person and share with them how radio would transform their business and make them money. She was excellent at it, and therefore started as a salesperson and worked up to a general manager because she was so excellent with what she did. Her influence was high. Here's my question. Sometimes you're meant to have low influence. Is that okay with you with the people that are not supposed to be influenced by you? I'm not called to influence everybody. I'm called to influence the people that I have a passion for. So find where your influence is low and where it's high. And why do you believe that this is accurate? And should you do anything to change that? Lastly, where do I feel most powerful to influence others with my products and my services? Right now, you've got people all across the world that are making an impact from their bedroom, from their lounge, from their kitchen. I mean, it's fun to watch TV sometimes, isn't it? Because you see people, and they're not really dressed professional, and they're kind of slouched off on a couch. They look like they haven't showered in over a week. And they have like 2.9 million followers that are giving them thumbs up. of what they're saying. So in the olden days, you looked really good before you got on a camera. And today people are like, they're influencing more people than we could ever possibly imagine in their PJs. Where do you feel most powerful to influence others with your products and services? When you really believe in yourself, your product, your service, it's easier to influence more people because of your passion. So lastly, for those of you that are nonprofits, how many donations, not just how much revenue, how many donations do I desire personally or professionally? Does my confidence and influence does it match the size? Is your social media reflecting this fact? So when you say, I am so excited about this season because I'm impacting so many more people I've never met before, are you getting paid for that? Your influence should generate revenue or donations. It should influence other people. Eventually, at the end of the day, we all have bills to pay. And I'm hoping that your influence that matches your confidence has produced revenue for you, that you're thankful for all the people that you've influenced. So in conclusion, how do you create hope in the heart of your team members? How do you do that? And by this, I'm talking about the world. When you go out and you go to the grocery store or you go to the petrol or gas station, no matter where you go, you have the opportunity to create hope in other people. I know everybody's wearing masks right now and gloves. It's like we're walking out and everybody can just fall over and die. But the bottom line is this, is that you can still create hope with your words. You can still encourage people. The cell phone today can impact more people than what we could have ever imagined. One of my favorite applications is called WhatsApp. I've got people all over the world on it. And if I send an encouragement to somebody in Namibia right now, I've impacted that nation by planting hope in that team member, in that client, in that friend. So it's really about being intentional. It's making your intention daily to grow your own confidence that things are going to get better and that you're a person that can manage or lead other people through this. You're going to use that as a platform for creating hope in other people. Now, if you wake up in the morning and you're in a bad space, my encouragement, don't communicate to other people. Because you know what? There's enough negative Nellies out there telling people that it's the end of the world and everyone's going to die and things will never be normal again. Oh my goodness. Don't be one of those people. Just don't communicate. Turn your cell phone off. Don't go outside. Stay in your pajamas. Have a cup of rooibos tea and hope that the sun comes out tomorrow. But when you're in a positive space, use that positivity and your real confidence and help other people to gain that confidence. For in doing so, you're going to maximize your influence and you're going to, guess what? Assist those around your sphere of influence to do the same. So that's our function as a company. The Global Equipping Center is created for one reason. That's actually to build confidence in the heart, because that's really where it is, isn't it? Your confidence in your soul. You can't kind of see it on your hand. It's in your heart. And when a person raises their level of confidence and has other people around them that believe in them, guess what happens? They have a desire to influence more people. And that's really what we love doing. We love increasing other people's influence, which helps them to generate more revenue or get more donations because we say we believe in you. Now let's develop a strategy that you also believe in, that together we will be successful. So for those of you that say, you know what, these are my kind of people, James and Carol and Michaela and Kerry and David, these are the people that, you know what, they could believe in me and they're going to help me get sales and they're going to increase my influence and they're going to help me become more confident as a person and as a professional. Then right now we would love to Zoom you over these next 7 or 8 days. And we love to get to know you. We Zoom people all over the world. We do it for free. We just say, hey, get on for an hour. Let us get to know you. Let us hear about your business. Let us encourage you. Let's see if it's a good fit and move forward. And if not, you might get 2 or 3 great ideas that you can implement yourself. And that gives us great joy to help every person, regardless of who they are or where they live or what they do. So here's our team members So obviously on your left or right, there the CEO, then the president of our Kerry Cox. As I just introduce you, if you could just say hi, so that way we can see who you are, and just unmute your mic there. So Kerry Cox, like I said, is the president of our company. She's excellent with social media. She has a huge following and loves being influential in that. And she is extremely confident in her ability to influence other people. In fact, she just assisted with James, helped one of our clients to grow by 33% of their company's revenue January, February, March. So Kerry, why don't you just wave and say hi to the audience real quick?
Wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for joining us today. It really is our pleasure to be able to have you on this webinar. And if you are looking for somebody to believe in you and be able to keep your confidence going, we can help.
Can't hear you, but that's okay. Thanks for
All right.
waving. All right. James Rice is our international managing partner. So James helped me to start in Durban. We ate tons of Durban curry and then moved to Nelspruit because that's where we found people that really wanted to grow their business. And so we exploded there. And James, thank you very much for all that you do for the company. Just wave and say hi there.
Hi.
Very good. There's James. All right. Carol, his wife, is our educational life coach. Carol has been in education for the majority of her life and then decided to branch out and go into business. And she bought a franchise, and she started in Nelspruit, grew the franchise so large that she was able to sell it, and then moved with James here to Fort Collins. So Carol, if you'll just wave and say hi there.
Hi, everyone. Nice to have you on.
Very good. All right. And then Michaela, lastly, Michaela's my wife, and she has a very unique role. She's been helping one of our clients with some of the breakthroughs that they have both on an emotional level and a spiritual level. So we use her very careful as the director of special projects, and we bring her in for certain clients that need to have a significant breakthrough because of past traumas. So Michaela, why don't you just wave and say hi there?
Hey everyone, nice to have you on.
There she is. All right, very good. So for all of us here at the Global Equipping Center, I wanted to thank all of you for joining us today. It was a pleasure. We hope to see you on Zoom. Just shoot us an email. We'd love to set up that appointment. And we look forward to seeing you in a few weeks in our next webinar. Until there, be safe, take care, and God bless. Thank you very much.